Might as well go for a sword and nobody hurts and nobody cries. Might as well go for a sword and nobody drowns and nobody dies. So bloomers, you wanna have it your way, I want it mine. All this a bit of go round and a boom boom makes me thirsty for love. Trudy. Get Trudy. He said to call you up if I was feeling moody. Hey little Donna, still wanna. He said to ring you up when I was in Toronto. I have lots of friends that I can gig at any time. Could mobilize some laughs with just one call. Like a bunch of lunatics will act your way fast on. Sure we'll be rocking till our strength is gone. Yeah, this beat goes on. And on, and on, and on. Hey ladies, ooh, you crazy. Well, me and Zero request you in the Mercedes. I'd never ride, so zoom me inside. The sky's the limit. This time I'm switching to glide. I don't give a hoot about what people have to say. I'm laughing as I'm analyzed. Lunatics and anonymous, that's where I belong. Sure, 'cause I am one till my strength is gone. Yeah, this beat goes on. And on, and on, and on. I have lots of friends that I can ding at any time. Can mobilize some laughs with just one call. Like a bunch of lunatics will act your way fast on. Sure we'll be rocking till our strength is gone. Yeah, this beat goes on. This beat goes on. Beat goes on. This beat goes on. This beat goes on. Beat goes on. This beat goes on. This beat goes on. This beat goes on and on. On and on. On and on. And on and on. On and on. And on. This beat goes. Nothing matters but the weekend. From a Tuesday point of view, like a kettle in the kitchen, I feel the steam begin to brew. Switching to ride, switching to ride, switching to glide, switching to ride. Energy can be directed. I'm turning it up, I'm turning it down. Even love can be affected. Harmony's the sweetest sound. Switching to ride, switching to ride, switching to glide, switching to ride. Balancing in my hand. It's out of reach. Taking the glide path instead. Everybody gets the know now. Hear it ringing in their ears. Lots of ways that you can go. Look around, no disappears. Switching to ride, switching to ride, switching to glide, switching to ride. Switching to ride, yeah. Switching to glide, yeah. Switching to ride.
Welcome everybody back to the EdgeStream. It's good to be back here with you all. Another Wednesday night. We just played some great Canadian classic rock right there. Holy fuck. What were those songs again? Yeah, Go For a Soda by Kim Mitchell. I Go Blind by 5440. And Switch Into Glide. Sorry, This Beat Goes On / Switch Into Glide by The Kings. Now that song is absolutely epic. There's a music video on YouTube that shows them like playing it live in an epic music video of archive footage from the 80s. If this band continued to make songs like that and music videos like that, then they could have been the best Canadian classic rock band. I don't know what happened with them. To me, they seem like a one-hit wonder, but that song is fucking amazing. I saw some people talking about Go For a Soda in the chat. Let me try to decipher and figure out what was going on with that. Rodden Studios says, guess I'll just go for a soda then. And somebody else in the Rumble chat said, oh, Johnny will be triggered. What does that mean? Why would Johnny get triggered about Kim Mitchell going for a soda? Lee Stewie says, so strange though. Canadian band should be saying pop, not soda. And Rodden says, I blame Kim Mitchell's proximity to Michigan. What is this? Is this like an epic battle that we say about and not about? Is this the kind of Canadiana that we're pushing? We say pop, not soda. So Kim Mitchell's a traitor because he reps the soda? Where on the Canadian doll, the Canadian Mountie doll, did the Kim Mitchell touch you, Mr. Johnny Rodden? Can you please explain this scenario? You guys are all failing the end towers in every chat. I saw a failed end tower in the YouTube chat. Somebody who put the G put it in dag slashes first. Wow, that's an epic fail. I see a Jew star instead of an E. Wow, that's an epic fail. Oh, wow. You guys just can't collectivize today. The collectivization of our peoples is what we're trying to do, and you guys are just fucking it up. $54.40 is the real joint, says James Edwards. Yeah. Somebody respects some true Canadian talent. I Go Blind is my favorite song by them. I like several other songs by them, but that's by far my favorite. Like One Day in Your Life, One Gun, there's a few others. But I Go Blind is really good. And you guys tried another end tower in the YouTube chat. Why are you even trying end towers in the YouTube chat? That's just going to be a fail from the start. Rumble chat is where it's fucking at, and Entropy chat. I see Diagoyam in Entropy chat saying / might as well go for a pop. And then the lone N in Entropy chat. Guys, if you want to make a proper end tower right now, go into the Entropy chat. It's the only unscuffed, untouched end tower that still has some potential. You guys fucked it up in every other chat. people are talking in the Rumble chat saying Nick's a motherfucking Jew. Shit. Nick's a Jew. Nick's a Fed. Nick's this and that. I'll be looking into all the accusations that they're levying against him. I have been a Nick Fuentes fan. He's one of my main inspirations since about 2018, 2019. And I have had some massive, not falling outs with him, but I massively disagreed and disengaged from a lot of his rhetoric at a certain point. But I have to say that he is spot on most issues, and I still watch him regularly, though I have huge problems with how he conducts himself and the kind of things that he says about people who are my allies, right? And who I think will push the ball forward. And I think the reasons that he countersignals white nationalism in general is because he has a stake in the game and he would rather people come and donate towards him. I genuinely think that. But at the end of the day, there's accusations against him being levied that he is like a Fed. He's a Fed op of some sort. And I do not believe that. I think there's a possibility of it, just like there's a possibility of anybody being a Fed in this political game that we're playing. But I will give evidence of things that suggest he's a Fed. I'll give the evidence that he used to rebuttal it, and I'll give my commentary on that. And we're going to be analyzing the shit out of that. Don't worry, it's not dry shit. This is really fun, entertaining stuff that we're going to be getting into tonight. I love talking about this kind of stuff, so I think we're going to have a good time, and there's no shortage of fun energy that will come out of that. Justice for Fathers gives a lightning skull on Rumble for Super Chat. Well, thank you very much. I do know that sometimes the weather is double stormy, whatever you're trying to say with that. I agree. We gotta we gotta weather these stormy times, right? Even if it's double lightning bolts and a skull, because that can mean death. Like, if we don't protect ourselves from the storm that is coming, then it means certain death. So I agree with your super chat right there. My heart goes out to you, brother. And thank you very much for your support. Somebody says watching from the woods. It says Alberta Girl 67, so at least you're not in Nova Scotia, because that might be massively illegal at this point. But I'm sure it'll be coming to Alberta soon enough. It's probably just easier to crack down on the East Coast before you have to go through the roughnecks of Alberta. Just looking through the rest of the chat. Dr. Jenstein says, "Hey, how are you, my love?" in the Rumble chat. Whoa, this is the first time I've seen somebody like that. Is that the real Dr. Jenstein? I don't even fucking know. That's creepy, but also endearing. Thank you. How am I? I'm doing good. I think I've already established that. So is there a mod fight in the chat? Oh, okay. Well, it seems like Johnny Rotten timed somebody out because they added an extra G in the end tower. I co-sign my moderators doing something like that. Oh, and Lee... Oh, so there's a mod... Lee, Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it up to my moderators. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to step on your toes. You're all just a bunch of impotent chatters anyways. I only care about the super chatters, you know. I only care about the super chatters, so... Oh, look at me. I am mod now, says Gorilla Radio. You want to be mod? I'm going to make you a mod. Standard moderator. But I might ban you later, just to flex my power on everybody. You happy, Gorilla Radio? Don't make me come down there, Edgy. Oh, uh-oh. Lee Stewie. Yeah, she is upstairs right now monitoring my stream and also monitoring my behavior. I have to behave or else I'm not going to get any Stewie snacks. These are the special snacks that she makes me every day of my life. She feeds me. If I didn't have a female in my life, I wouldn't know what to do because males are officially by man code not allowed to make their own meals. Unless you're some weird gay, like fat ginger chef and that's like your profession. That's your career. Then you can make food and impress the ladies with it. Or you could be like Anthony Bourdain and you're like the best chef in the world, but then you kill yourself. Other than that, you gotta get the women to make food for you, and I depend on her, so I best not make her too mad, I guess. So let's get into the stream, everybody. Stewie Snacks will be waiting there for you. What's new, Edgy D? They're coming after me. The Jews are gonna solve that mystery. Okay, well, yeah, good thing I sang that song because it distracted me so I could read another super chat. Wow. I'm just raking in the donations right now. Oh, yeah, and by the way, if you want to donate, you could do that on Entropy or Rumble. Seems like Rumble is the hot spot tonight. But if you want to support me, like, because you think the stream is good, God rest your soul, then you could do that on Rumble or Entropy, or you want to direct it in some way with some dumb comment, or you have like a video, then not like, if you're going to make me watch like a 2-hour long video, then that's probably not the place to do it. But if you have a quick clip that you think would be good for the show, then you could do that there, or you want to steer the stream in some way. A donation on Rumble and Entropy will prioritize that. Also, if you just want to leave a tip, because that's much appreciated. I could do more of this kind of stuff, and also I do a lot of stuff behind the streams. Behind the scenes, behind the streams. Yeah, that was a typo, but it's the same deal. Behind the streams, behind the scenes. I do a lot of work that you don't see. And I help keep the train running, okay? The train that runs over the Jeets in India, by the way. No, actually, I'm not part of that because my trains actually run smoothly and we have proper safety measures beside the trains. But you get the metaphor that I'm talking about there. Anyways, thank you very much. And I'm going to end the stream now. All right, good night, everybody. Thank you. Guys, I'm telling you, there's an ongoing end tower on Entropy right now that you guys are missing out on. And it's at the second G at this point. Oh, by the way, Intrusive Thoughts message said, I left a note in the back of your mind. Whatever that means. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Somebody says, behind the screams. Oh, there will be screams tonight. There will be screams. Alright, let's get into the show. So, the main topic tonight is Nick Fuentes a Fed? And this is largely because Nick has been killing it lately. What can I say? Nick Fuentes, he is one of the reasons why I got more energized into the scene. I was basically totally red pilled years before, like maybe like 2 years before I was first introduced to somebody like Nick Fuentes. However, I didn't think that there was a lot of public support, or that there was someone that was articulating arguments in the way that I felt could be bridged to the mainstream audience, to the rest of the world, like somebody like Nick Fuentes was able to do around from 2018 to the early 2020. That was a crucial time in my development as a content creator. So basically, I started off as a comedian, and then I wanted to find out a way to do content and comedy on my own, and then I found all these anti-SJW content creators at a time where Sargon of Akkad and many other people like that were blowing up on YouTube. And I very much agreed with them, not even to the point that I was just hopping onto a bandwagon, but I actually really deeply agreed with them. And this was something that I was experiencing in my own life for like the past 5 or so years, where this political correctness was getting out of control, and people were avoiding science, they were avoiding basic facts in order to just get in line with what the politically correct mainstream was saying. And some of the first things were feminism. Feminists were saying that there was a wage gap. And in my mind, I was like, so there's a wage? So are you saying, like, they made it sound like that if you applied for the same job, that a man would be making, like, say, $10 an hour. And a woman, just by virtue of being a woman, would be making $7 an hour. Just because she's a woman. And I knew that was inherently false. That makes absolutely no fucking sense. But the way that feminism tries to portray the wage gap is like that's actually happening. And then they make you think that's what's happening. But then when you actually ask questions, they get all offended about it. And then it's just like, okay, so what are you actually saying then? That women are actually getting paid less for some reason? What are those reasons? Because you made it seem like women are being paid like 70% of what men are being paid. So what are the reasons? Oh, and then you find out it's a million other reasons other than the fact that it's actual discrimination. So I was figuring out these things and trying to deal with the fact that people who should know better were easily indoctrinated by these things. So then once I started making content of my own, making comedy about it, and the fact that I've always had a penchant to be edgy about things and make fun of things in the most, like, controversial, on the edge sort of way, it became immediately clear that I was stepping into a hornet's nest. But this hornet's nest wasn't just something like, we should be able to freely express ourselves for comedy. It wasn't just comedy. I realized that there was a white genocide going on for all Western nations, as many people do when they get red-pilled, and it didn't take me long to figure that out. And getting red-pilled like that in such a short time, because I had an impetus to get red-pilled that quickly, because I was making comedic videos that were philosophical and informational, and I wanted to be correct every time I released a video, right? Like, I'm not an idiot. I don't want to, like, be just trying to prove some point for no reason. I want to be correct, and I really care about the truth. So that led me to being red-pilled very quickly for some very controversial truths that were even beyond what I was ready to handle at that time. Because there's like the first truth that they allow you to be able to recognize, which is that maybe Islamists are not that great to be coming in our country en masse, because they literally supposedly did 9/11. They treat women like crap in their countries because they make them wear burqas and hijabs because they'll get too horny and want to rape them or something like that. That is illiberal. That goes against the liberal paradigm. But then once you go deeper into it and you actually see the facts of how this mass immigration, where these people are even coming here in the first place, it gets a lot deeper and darker, and you realize that the demographics actually matter, that countries are not about ideas, they're about blood. They're about blood and soil. They're about the people that are there, because culture is downstream from biology. And these are things that they don't want you to know. And it's like a slow progression of red pilling to even go from, the soft red pill or the alt-right, where it's just like, oh, culturally we should all be assimilated and whatnot, to like the fact that biology is a real thing, and also many other things that they try to safeguard you from or try to pull you away from, is that these Islamists or these Muslims and these brown Arabs are fine on their own over where they are. Why do you need to bother them? Why do you need to pick at them? Just don't bring them over here. People should be able to live separately, homogeneously amongst their own race. And race is the fundamental factor. And this is something they don't want you to know. So that is my background from finding somebody like Nick Fuentes, who at the same time, once I started to come upon these conversations, is that I also didn't want to go all the way into the world of being full alt-right. And once these realities were known to a lot of people, like, it just opened the floodgates to a whole bunch of different strategies, including people LARPing in the streets, especially in America, where you could flex guns and ammunition a lot. That didn't help for the whole optics of the Charlottesville rally that happened. And then ultimately there was a turning point in Charlottesville in, I think it was September or October 2017, where there was the Unite the Right rally. And then ultimately that rally got psyoped by the police, by Antifa and leftists, where everybody descended upon each other. There was the Tiki Torch March, where people were saying, Jews will not replace us, which is a totally coherent and factual thing that people should be saying. But it was such a shock to the culture at the time, mixed with everything else that happened, including the psyoping of these groups being clashed together. And then ultimately it ended up with some spurg driving through a bunch of people, and then it killed one fat woman who actually had a heart attack after she got hit by the car. Either way, the guy who drove his car in, and apparently from other eyewitness testimony, somebody pulled a gun out on him while he was in his car, and then he drove his car through a bunch of people. So he could have been scared. He could have been planning to do that. I don't know the answer to that. The woman who got hit by him was some fat woman who had a heart attack after she got hit by the car. Nobody else died. Either way, that guy is spending like multiple life sentences in prison. His name is James Fields. But that was a huge blow to the alt-right, to white nationalism at that time. And Nick Fuentes kind of picked up the pieces from that, and he made like a professional movement that swayed away from like the extremes of that situation, that made it more palatable in a way that a person like me could be able to identify with him and move forward with the movement that he had going on. And I do think, now that I look back at it, he did throw a lot of people under the bus who were instrumental in like making that rally happen, but were obviously not violent. They had nothing to do with that freak that ran over people with his car. Whether it was because he was freaked out or not, I don't know. But it was kind of this debate on whether you're actually optical or you're a wig gnat. A wignat is a word that was used by Nick Fuentes as a pejorative. It meant like Whig or nationalist. It meant you had like low impulse control and you were just bad optics. But I do think that was a helpful thing at the time, even if he used it to throw other people under the bus. He created a movement based on his own charisma, his own personality, that made people be able to fight back against the system in a time where they were getting shoved down the drain, they were getting stomped on because they caught a huge L. They caught a huge loss with Charlottesville. And I think that Nick Fuentes really picked up the pieces. And then he brought that forward and put it to test with something like the Groyper Wars. In 2019, he had instructed an army of young, good-looking, optical, white young chads in colleges and universities to go and co-opt all these speaking events that were happening with groups, mainstream conservative groups like TPUSA, Turning Point USA, Young America Foundation, YAF, and they would have speakers like Charlie Kirk, who was his main enemy at the time, and other people like including Donald Trump Jr. So there was like one or two dozen, like 10, 20, maybe 30 of these events that the armchair general Nick Fuentes, with thousands of viewers, thousands of the most dedicated viewers at the time, mostly young people, were going to these events, these speaking events for like normie conservatives at universities. And I remember one particular event, they had 10 to 15, like 14 out of 15 of the speakers who lined up to ask Charlie Kirk and gay black man Rob Smith, who was the other speaker. 14 out of the 15 of the people in line were Groypers, and they were asking why don't they care about the demographics of the USA becoming less white genocide stuff, asking questions about the U.S. liberty, so Jewish subversion and Jewish involvement, and they were doing a fantastic job. So that's one great reason why I really like Nick Fuentes, and I'll put that fourth and first most because I had early experience and inspiration from him. The Groyper War, yes. I need to go to the washroom quick, so I'm going to play another Canadian song, and then we're going to get into the whole catboy paradigm and whether or not Nick Fuentes is a fad. So, here's a quick song for you guys. This is another Canadian classic, one that you guys probably haven't ever heard. My dad used to hang out with these guys in the 60s. But the predecessor to April Wine, which is pretty fucking cool. So we'll be right back.
Free like life and children having fun.
hope you enjoyed that song. This is probably the first and only time in history where Canadian classic rock from the 1960s will be played right before talking about whether Nick Fuentes is a vet or not. So, welcome, gentlemen. You're experiencing history right now. What's going on here? Somebody said R.I.P. Alex. Alex Linder was a complex guy and feuded a lot. But okay, yeah, I heard Alex Linder died, and I do know he's done a lot of great readouts of white nationalist books, like "Secrets of the Federal Reserve" by Eustace Mullins is the first audiobook that I've read that Alex Linder spoke out and he gave great commentary to. I don't know what this guy is saying otherwise. Nick is a gay Mexican is an issue because he presents himself as a white heterosexual. You're also invariably a bunch of Judeo-Christian pedophiles that quote the Torah to justify your sick pervert. Okay, I don't even know what the fuck you're saying at this point. You obviously have an issue. I do agree with about Alex Linder though, but I don't know where you're going with that. We have a failed end tower on entropy. Oof. Man on the Mountain says, sounds like Edgy's dad was doing acid in the 60s. You know, I would think, but my dad actually told me a story. I'm always trying to get him to tell me the story about how you did drugs, and he's always he's very reluctant to admit anything. But he did tell me a story about how he was a teenager in Montreal, and then he was trying to get acid for his friends, so he went to a bunch of bikers, and he asked for acid, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you acid, little buddy. And then they literally, he saw them go into a Tylenol bottle and literally empty out a few Tylenol pills and gave it to them. And they're like, yeah, this is real shit. And they looked him in the face, and then he's like, okay, thank you. And then he gave it to his friends. He sold it to his friends. And then his retard teenage friends in Montreal were like, oh, I'm tripping out right now. Oh, this is great. And he just laughed at them. So I'm like, yo, based, my dad is giving fake acid to his retard friends, just mocking them. My dad should sign up to be one of those bikers that frauded him. So he has some balls on him. He's a bit of a dickhead. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. Whether my dad has actually done acid or not, I want to press him on that. Right? That would be a good story. What's going on YouTube? Does this guy hate me? Okay, whatever, Mr. Gentleman. What's going on in Rumble? The Spurger tree never ceases to amaze me, but at least in Rumble. Yeah, burgers are brown, wraps are white, Cope Jeets. Okay. I don't even know what's going on. Alright. Well, cheers, everybody. Let's get into the meat of this stream. So, I hear a lot of people saying, like what's his name? The guy in the YouTube chat. Gentleman is saying, Nick Fuentes is a gay Mexican. Okay. So, we need to cover that right now. And I think you might be right. I don't know the answer to this. Either way, the things he's saying still ring true. So you could say he's a gay Mexican just because it's coming from the mouth of a gay Mexican. By the way, he's a quarter Mexican, so I don't know. Like, he's provably a quarter Mexican, and how Mexican even that is, because the ancestor, like his grandfather that is supposedly Mexican, could be like a half or 75%, so that makes him even less Mexican. If that is a huge deal, then I don't know. I think maybe you should reconsider what you think is white nationalism, and like this purity spiraling shit, I don't think is healthy. Because if you think that Nick Fuentes, because of the fact that he may be a quarter or probably less Mexican, that is a huge issue, even though he's shown no affinity to any Mexicanness, then I think you might have problems with a lot of people, a lot more people than that, and it's just kind of nitpicking. Because if he was saying things that you wanted and pleased you, then maybe you would change your tune. I don't know. I just, maybe you are a super purist. You're like, white power at every moment, right? Including, like, you can't be 25, you can't be 20, 15, 10%. No matter what you say, your blood taints you. Then I think we're getting into a different situation. Is he gay? I don't know. He's kind of fucking weird, and we're going to talk about that right now. So, let's look into the catboy era, because I did put a picture of him being a catboy as the thumbnail, or him on his catboy date with catboy Cammy. However, I will say, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll go back to the thumbnail. So in the thumbnail here, this was like one of the initial Nick Fuentes scandals, was that he went on a gay date with a catboy. But in reality, this guy was a streamer on DLive named Catboy Cammy. He was some Australian dude who was extremely racist and very edgy, and he would use like anime porn as something that he thought was transgressive. It's kind of cringe, kind of fucked up, but that's why he was being like catboy or whatever. He was trying to be as off-putting as possible, but this guy was also watching Hitler speeches and subjecting his audience to the greatest story never told, Europa the Last Battle. And I think that's why Nick Fuentes took a liking to him, though he also might have taken a liking to him because this guy always streamed with his shirt off. So I do think Nick Fuentes might be kind of gay, though. But either way, Catboy Cammy as a content creator was really funny, and he was the first person to be doing these Omegle streams in blackface. He was like the first Gypsy Crusader. He was before Handsome Truth has been knocking out of the park with these Omegle streams. He was before any of these fucking people were doing it. So, first time I ever saw an Omegle stream was with Catboy Cammy. So I'm just saying that's some context. This isn't just some like faggot, weird trans streamer that people are trying to make it out to be, like some catboy. This was a guy who was doing like edgy jokes, and he was pretending to be some like weird, crazy catboy freak. Maybe he was, and maybe that was a cover for him being that kind of guy, but I'm just giving you some context. But either way, this is Nick Fuentes talking about his catboy era.
Connor MC Grow, I percent $10. I miss your femboy era.
What's the femboy? I was never a femboy. It was the catboy era, okay? Not femboy. Let's get it straight. It was the catboy era.
So this was his gay date with the Catboy Cammy, and I guess this is the comedy that Catboy was doing. Although I did see him dress up as a maid and go out on the street dressed as a maid and pour milk all over himself as a live, because this guy is like an in real life live streamer trying to do shocking things, and then he just did a bunch of racist shit while he was pouring milk all over himself, and the cops got called, and he like messed with them a little bit too. So like apparently Nick's rebuttal against this picture is like, that was like a water bottle, and it was like a fake water bottle. It was a joke that he was doing on the stream, but a lot of people don't accept that.
I miss it too. They bullied me out of it, you know. It was funny. And Vosh made up a bunch of nonsense about it, and then I had to capitulate for the sake of optics. And
so Vosh, the leftist, the hardcore leftist, was like, Nick Fuentes flew in a gay prostitute named Catboy Cammy to come and like have sex with him at his place. But in reality, what actually happened is this degenerate, weird freak streamer who is also a hardcore Nazi and not really gay. I don't think that this guy is gay. He came, like, Nick helped him come. That's not good. He helped him come to the U.S., and then this Catboy guy immediately got married to some woman that he met in America to get his green card, and then he just ravaged through Tinder, fucked a bunch of bitches, according to Nick too as well. It was actually kind of gross because this guy is like a guy who just wants to fuck bitches and shit. And then he went and started Fed posting, and he was hanging out with other groypers like Baked Alaska. And then during the 2020 election, he was just like, I want to eradicate all Jays. He was saying shit like that, and Nick was like, I have to disavow. He's going to our rallies and saying that he thinks that he's doing like exterminationist, anti-Jewish speeches, so I have to disavow. So that is the actual context behind what is going on here. I think he's being kind of cheeky about it. I think that maybe he does have a boner for this guy. I don't know. It's hard to tell with this guy. He's very elusive.
No. We want to be trad and get married, and women are awesome. So, yeah, it was awesome, wasn't it?
Connor MC Grow I% $10. I miss your fem.
Justice for Fathers says, gut feeling, Nick's Jewish. I don't think he's Jewish. Does he look Jewish? Will he accept Jewish money is more of the question, right? Man on the Mountain says, I find Nick Fuentes' huge furry eyebrows distracting. Furry eyebrows. Like, I thought you meant furry, like he's a furry, like he's a Catboy furry for a second, but his huge furry eyebrows are distracting. Are you getting distracted in a way that is unbecoming of you, Man on the Mountain? I don't know what you're trying to say here. No, he has big hands apparently too for his minuscule manlet size. So people talk about his man hands too. So if you want to make suggestive comments about that, feel free to super chat about his man hands too. That'll make you look more straight for sure. Lee says, his hands are disproportionately large. Wall. Okay, Gentleman is sparking in the YouTube chat. The Gentleman, he's saying, you could go to Stormfront and go look at all the old threads and stuff. These people were systematically dismantling globalism, Marxism, post-Marxism, Boaz, anthropology, etc. Your typical groyper can't even tell you what a race is, let alone talk about racial differences. No, yeah, I understand, okay? I'm talking about making it palatable. You're definitely not making it palatable by sparking out in the YouTube stream. I know what Boaz anthropology is. I know what post-Marxism is. I've read Culture of Critique. I understand that in the early 1900s, Franz Boas, or whatever its name was, the Jew, made it so that evolution and Darwinism did not say that there was a hierarchy of races and that all races are equal and they're a blank slate and all cultures are the same and it just matters on how well you treat them. I know that's subversion and how it happened. But you're not winning anybody over with this purgatory. So there we go. That's the catboy stuff. But what's happening right now, what's in the news, is Tucker Carlson, one of the biggest mainstream conservative news commentators, is going ham-fisted against Nick Fuentes right now, calling him a gay little dweeb in his basement in Chicago. And I think Tucker Carlson has had an invested interest in demeaning Nick over at least the last year or two. And it's funny because at the same time, Tucker Carlson has been giving truths that the mainstream conservative party would not want you to know, right? So Tucker is going against Israel in many ways. He's interviewing, was it the president or the prime minister of Iran? And Iran was that prime minister or president of Iran was saying that it's the Zionist powers. It's not America that they're necessarily against. It's the Zionist powers. So Tucker Carlson has himself been maligned, been smeared as an anti-Semite. So it's kind of weird that Tucker Carlson is now going against Nick Fuentes. It seems like Tucker Carlson is like the controlled opposition anti-Semite. Like they'll let him be the preferred anti-Semite as long as he attacks the real anti-Semite, which is Nick Fuentes, who's willing to go and speak truth about all of the Jewish supremacist influence. And you have to remember that Tucker Carlson, like a few years ago, would never say anything about the Jews. In fact, he would only be pro-Zionist. And the only way that he would even hint at Zionist power is if he was doing something like trying to hint that the fact that Americans don't want to be displaced in their own country, white people don't want to be displaced in their own country. He wouldn't even say white people, he'd say white voters, because then he makes it a Democrat voter versus a Republican voter based on the demographics of votes. So he can make it so it's not even about demographics, like actual demographics, it's about demographics of votes of my party. And then he would say that, so because America wants to preserve its voting bloc demographic, why is it okay that Israel rightfully gets to preserve its demographics, but not us? I don't think it's rightful for Israel to preserve their demographics on land that they stole, that they pushed out and brutalized a whole people, and then have the nerve to send them over into our nations, into Western European and North American nations. But either way, Tucker Carlson making that leap was a huge fundamental step for the mainstream to understand that demographic replacement is not okay, even if it's just Fox News boomers. But he had the greatest conservative talk show at that time, and the fact that he was addressing those issues made it more appealing to a younger, more radicalized vote and a radicalized white demographic that was younger. But at the same time, they have, like, the system has to have these pitfalls and pit stops, or whatever you want to call them, in place to stop you from looking at people like Nick Fuentes and ultimately other people beyond that, like people who inspired him, which would be people like the right stuff, like Eric Stryker and Mike Penovich, the academics who inspired him, like Kevin McDonald, Richard Spencer, who came before him, who he's had a falling out with, but now he's back on board with, David Duke, who he acknowledged is one of his great inspirations. Literally, he said that during during the Unite the Right rally, but then he denied it once he realized he was on camera. These kinds of people. Jared Taylor, he's an OG as well, and him and Nick have an ongoing alliance. These are the kind of people that are underneath the movement that are being pushed forth into the forefront by people like Nick, whether he gives them credit or not, whether he's charitable to them or not. This person has developed charisma and ability to be able to have good communications with a wider net of people, that he has made these ideas more mainstream and more palatable for all of you. And I think ultimately people like Tucker, people like Candace Owens, who's now counter-signaling him and trying to fight him, people like Milo Yiannopoulos, who's just a gay Jewish informant, frankly, and we'll see that in a little bit. These people are all talking shit on his name. And it's for a fucking reason. It's because he's now getting too off of the what you're allowed to say plantation. Like, it's easy to say things about the Jews, to say absolute facts about them, but when you're talking about all these other influencers' relations to the facts about the Jews, and you're no longer playing nice and you're calling them out, mostly because they started calling him out first because they can't handle him talking too much truth, like Tucker Carlson calling him a gay weird kid. Like, he should have just kept his mouth shut, because Tucker, how long have you known about the Jews, and how long have you kept your mouth shut about it, and now you're going to go after Nick because he is ascending into stardom at the same time that, like, you're already kind of peaking. You've already been at a level that's very astroturf for a long time. I think you're going to get your upcomings in this upcoming battle, okay? So you have Tucker, who's literally calling him a gay little internet dweeb in his basement, and you have Candace, who did an interview with him recently, like a couple weeks ago, and Candace just used that as an opportunity to grill him and try to demean him, and I think Nick handled it well. Candace did not come up on top with that. Milo and Nick have had a beef for a long time. I know Nick is a little gay, he's a little weird, but Milo Yiannopoulos is a faggot, pedophile, Jew, informant, all of these things admitted. I think he's really funny, and I used to have more, like back maybe like 7-8 years ago, I had more tolerance for him before I knew just the depths of his depravity. But going into this, it's just like, I can't deal with it. I can't fucking give any credence to anything he says, and it's very provable that you shouldn't trust this guy. And then you have Elon Musk, who is just jumping on top of this and saying, like he goes on whatever Tucker, Candace, or Milo says, and he goes, sounds interesting, because he's very off to the side, but he is trying to puppeteer and control that. This is the richest man in the world, supposedly, trying to puppeteer and control things. He's kind of weird like that. And then Andrew Tate, he's the last guy I want to address in this whole situation. Andrew Tate counter-signaled Nick, and Nick is like, you too? And then he backtracked. Like, Andrew Tate himself, the top G, backtracked when Nick was like, you too? And gave him the benefit of the doubt. And then they had a little back and forth. Was like, oh, I'm not trying to blah, blah, blah. And then Andrew Tate offered his platform to have like some sort of debate. So it was really a show of power that Nick showed there. It was absolutely brilliant, because a year or two ago, Andrew Tate was saying that Nick Fuentes and all his friends cannot be a part of anything that he's doing because they're all fucking loser nerds. But it seems that Nick Fuentes really took a number on him and showed him who has clout. And that, I know it doesn't seem that impressive to more hardcore white nationalists that, like, oh, Nick Fuentes, he gained the approval of the top mulatto pimp, Andrew Tate, who's like being charged and convicted with rape, or he's not convicted, but being charged and accused of rape and other things. No, it actually does matter, because this is a person who could operate on a high enough level that he could force these people to see his way about the things he's talking about. And he's not doing any of those weird fucking things as well. He may be a little gay, but we'll take it. We'll take the W, guys. Stop demanding that you take an L by just shutting yourself out from this. Take a W at some point. Sarah Ireland says, I love Lamp. Well, thank you. Dr. Genstein says, do the stream shirtless and talk softly about Nick. He gave a decent amount of money for that, but, my price is a lot higher, dude. I'm talking like $51. I'm talking $511 if you want to see something like that. And do you really want to see something like that? Does that really matter that much to you? Or are you really that much of a sick perv? We'll see. I don't mind showing off my guns and my pecs. But, yeah. Why don't you just keep it on your pants, man? I'm trying to do a serious show here. Justice for Father says the system has to die. No, I agree. Man on the Mountain says Tucker Carlson knows exactly how hard he can safely step on Jewish toes. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. He sees the way the wind is blowing, and he sees where the Overton window is, and he sees people like Dave Smith, the comedian and political commentator, and he sees how far he can go. He sees how far everybody can get away with everything, and he is told, probably by his masters, to whip Nick Fuentes in line and discredit him, and it's just really not working. He really shouldn't have done that. He would have been better off, like, on the sidelines, doing what Candace Owens was doing and trying to, like, subtly undermine him, but calling Nick Fuentes the gay kid in the basement, like, Nick Fuentes went off on him about that. I don't know if I want to play that. Yeah, I actually do want to play that, because I think it was a very illuminating. I just gotta find it, because I didn't put it in my notes, but I do think it is worth sharing. Hold on. Tucker, Nick, media, I'm looking on Twitter for it.
How do we steer the population back into a new Cold War? How do we steer the
It's not the one.
How do we steer? Animated by Trump's message of America first. And then, after years of bragging about being an elite, bragging about
Okay, yeah, this is the one. I found a different version of it. Sorry that took a while.
the population back into a new Cold War? How do we steer the population into supporting Israel in a way, in a world where they're rapidly losing credibility? Get a guy like Vance. Get a guy like Vance to imitate and echo back to you, to project back to you the grievances of the white working class while steering you into the agenda of the CIA and the DOD and Israel, which is a distinction without a difference. Do you get it now? And that's who's doing it. I'm being accused of being the CIA by Peter Thiel's best boys, by Tucker Carlson with his daddy. Tucker Carlson's, and you know what? Here's the other thing. Tucker Carlson said I'm a weird gay kid in the basement. Yeah, and I'm from Chicago. You're right. Well, okay, you're not right about all of that.
Okay, sorry. This is the clip. I finally found it.
To being the CIA by Peter Thiel's best boys, by Tucker Carlson with his daddy. Tucker Carlson's, and you know what? Here's the other thing. Tucker Carlson said I'm a weird gay kid in the basement. Yeah, and I'm from Chicago. You're right. Well, okay, you're not right about all of that. But I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Tucker Carlson says I have so many trust funds I never have to work. Tucker went to a $45,000 per year private high school, then a $45,000 per year selective Ivy League school in New England. Tucker Carlson's daddy was a Reagan appointee. And then, after years of bragging about being an elite, bragging about being so out of touch and so rich, now he's going to be the spokesperson for all the white people. Now he's going to roll up his sleeves. I just like to hunt and fish in my log cabin. I care about Klarna and credit card debt. But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people. You want to talk about me and them? I am them. He says Nick Fuentes is leading all of the disaffected young white men. I am a disaffected young white man. I was a precocious, intelligent, young white college student who went to Boston University, who was pro-Trump and red-pilled by Trump and animated by Trump's message of America first. And I asked questions about Israel, and I was punished for it. I did it years before Tucker Carlson started talking about Israel last year. And I sacrificed, and I was targeted by the ADL, by the SPLC, by the federal government, by the conservative movement that both Candace and Tucker were a part of. Candace and Tucker had nothing to say about Israel until it became unavoidable last year. Not popular, but unavoidable. And now they want to gatekeep me out and do this personality attack and say I'm a bitter loser in my basement from Chicago. I'm a kid from Chicago. And they slipped up there because they forgot for 1 second that they're pretending to be the spokesperson for exactly that kind of person. Tucker's mask slipped, and he forgot for a minute that for 8 years he's been pretending to care about the plight of weird kids in their parents' basement who are broke and didn't go to an Ivy League school, living in cities that don't matter like Chicago, not like Washington, D.C. or L.A. or New York. And that's why he had such disdain and contempt for me in that moment. Between the personality attacks, he's lonely, he's weird, he lives in a basement. I'm sorry, did you guys forget that that's your target audience that you're trying to pander to? Did you forget that for 2 seconds? And I'm the inauthentic person? I am that person. I am a spokesman for the disaffected white man because I am one, and you two are not. Candace Owens got married to British royalty worth $200 million after meeting him for 2 weeks on Zoom. What the fuck is even that about? And Tucker Carlson's dad ran the CIA's propaganda empire fighting the Soviet Union. He went and fought with the Contras when he was in college. When I was in college, I was doing a webcam show in my friend's dorm room criticizing Israel. So who's the CIA cutout? Who's the inauthentic one? Who's the crazy, hateful one? I would never describe a well-meaning young white person who's trying to get ahead as a weird kid in his basement from Chicago. And what is that supposed to mean? What is wrong with being from Chicago? What is wrong with being weird? What is wrong with living in your basement? That's a lot of people because of the problems you claim to care about. Tucker's at Turning Point USA extolling the predatory nature of usury and how it's preventing young white men from getting homes. And then the week after says, you're in your mom's basement. So which is it? So which is it? Do you care about Klarna and people going into debt to order pizzas and home ownership being impossible? Or do you think that's a contemptible, low-status thing to be ridiculed and mocked? Who's pandering here? Exactly. Because that wasn't you. You were born to the Swanson family fortune and your daddy who ran the CIA. You know, my dad didn't even graduate college. My dad worked for the tollway. His dad died of a drug overdose in the 70s. My mother's father was a garbage man in Chicago, and he committed suicide. He was a veteran of World War II. Who's the CIA cutout? Who's the poser? Who is America? I am America. Chicago is America. That's an American story. I didn't go to Yale Law School and suck Peter Thiel's dick and then get a sinecure at a venture capital firm advising Rebecca Mercer and writing hillbilly elegy and talking about it at the Aspen Institute. That's your biographical credibility? How many of these disaffected white people that love Trump because he's racist went to Yale Law School and got plucked out by Peter Thiel, whoever he even is? Peter Thiel with his fixation with the Antichrist, this homosexual who's involved with the CIA, who wants to live forever and govern the world with AI. Yeah, that's really relatable. That's really relatable. Do another show with him and Curtis Yarvin. Do another show. Do the 47th show with JD Vance. It is insulting, and it is insulting to everybody's intelligence for Tucker to sit there and say he doesn't know his dad is in the CIA, for him to say that I'm in the CIA. What a joke. What a sick joke. Especially after everything that's happened to me. And unlike what Candace Owen says, she says, what happened to him when he was 18? What happened to me is ongoing, okay? Unlike Candace Owens and Tucker, I never got a contract with Ben Shapiro and Rupert Murdoch. I was on Maker Support. I was on Patreon. I was on D Live. I had to fight for everything I have. I didn't get $1 million contract from Turning Point. I didn't get $20 million from Fox News.
That's true. He was on all those platforms. Patreon. The alternative to Patreon. That's keck. That's so funny.
My daddy didn't get me a job in art.
I was there. I saw it all happen. I was like, this is the guy. And he got even... However, he got into his positions of influence, even if he was not being above board about it or he was backstabbing people along the way. He got it from his own sheer talent. And it's undeniable with the way that he expresses himself. You look at somebody like Charlie Kirk. That guy did not get there because of his talent. He got there because of his complicity with the system and how well he was able to choreograph what they wanted him to say. It's just facts, guys. Call him a gay, faggot, Mexican, Jew, all you want. It's just facts. He can speak better than you.
So ridiculous.
So I'm going to talk about how my previous... some of my previous beliefs, I wasn't fully convinced, but I had a huge hunch that Nick Fuentes informed on people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. I had a very large hunch. I had no definitive evidence, though I had seen a lot of people criticizing him and him defending himself, and I just wasn't convinced that he did not snitch on at least a bunch of groypers, or at least give what I call, or what law enforcement calls, basic subscriber information, BSI, which is one of the main things that law enforcement wants to go for when they want to get information on people. BSI. Recognize that term. Basic subscriber information. So, the reason I say this is because there's a viral video that went around for a while of Nick Fuentes, who is saying at some statue near the Capitol, he has a bunch of his groypers all surrounding him, and he's saying, disregard the police, break the barriers, storm the Capitol, something along those lines. It was very heavy-handed, and he was doing just a very hyped speech about that kind of thing, and it seemed very indicting, especially when you look at how thousands of people were charged for January 6th, right? And him saying something like that, being the leader of America First, and there were people in the Capitol with America First hats. In fact, there was some like hoax situations where there was like a guy laughing in Nancy Pelosi's office wearing America First hat, and it looked like Nick Fuentes. But anybody who knows more about Nick Fuentes knows that, okay, that's not Nick Fuentes, right? So there was this huge situation where he has this damning video where he's like, storm the Capitol, storm the Capitol. Meanwhile, there's all these people getting charged. People are facing 4 years. The people were convicted to 4, 5, 6 years in jail for literally just going into the Capitol and smoking a cigarette, or like live streaming and having a good time. I will say, Elijah Schaffer was in the Capitol, and he live streamed, or he filmed and took a picture of Nancy Pelosi's laptop, and he got away with it. I like Elijah Schaffer. I think he's doing great things with like platforming people like Thomas Sewell, Joel Davis, and Blair Cottrell, etc. But I have questions about that. I think, what the fuck is going on with that? How did you get in the Capitol? You were trespassing. You were on specific grounds that it looks like you were trespassing. So how did you get away with that? The fact that you were press, supposedly, does not answer why you were able to get that kind of footage and get away with it. To be honest, to me, like that's one of the first things that comes to my head. I don't want to impugn somebody like Elijah, because I think that he's doing a great job, but I'm just very concerned about that. However, I did previously think that Nick, because of that footage, it's like, how the fuck did he get away with this? Did he snitch on people? And the first thing that I could think of, and the most prescient thing that I could think of, is that, so he got banned from DLive after January 6th happened, like a day or two after. So this is like censorship history that you guys all need to know. So everybody was streaming on DLive. That was like an alt-right or whoever kind of content creator. They were all streaming on DLive after an exodus from YouTube, because YouTube implemented, like, they had an ongoing censorship campaign, but during COVID, they censored everyone all throughout 2020. All white nationalists, all QAnon, all fucking people who were extremely skeptical and adamant against COVID, they all got banned off of YouTube. It was very bad on YouTube in 2020. So DLive became the new destination, especially for live streaming. So people like the whole Plaid Army. So it's like Derek Rance, Jeremy McKenzie, all these people in Canada. They were streaming on DLive. DLive was the place to go. Ethan Ralph, the Kill Stream. It was a DLive Central type of event. And then Nick Fuentes, he was like the top DLive streamer by far for like, it might have been like 6 or however many months before January 6th happened. And then after January 6th, these guys folded. They folded like an origami piece of paper. They just folded so hard, and I saw them ban people in real time. They banned Jeremy McKenzie midstream for no reason. Like, he was not for people storming the Capitol. He was talking about how dumb it was, and he still got banned midstream. One of our other buddies, Quick Dubs, he started trying to restream a stream, and then he got banned as well. So it's like DLive censorship history. DLive cucked and folded like a bunch of little bitches, and they haven't been relevant since. And that's good, because they were such cucks in that moment of truth, and now they folded and now they're irrelevant. No one uses DLive anymore. Notice that. No one uses lemons as their currency. But either way, DLive was the shit before that happened. And after that, Nick Fuentes had been banned off of YouTube. He has no super chats there. He has no lemons on DLive. He has no lemon, like whatever, $100 lemons, or like they had all these stupid things that you could pay more for, like a better lemon or like a lime or whatever it was. I don't remember. But he started his own streaming platform called AmericaFirst.live, and I paid $5 to sign up for it because I wanted the archive. I didn't just want to watch the streams. I wanted to watch all the old ones. So I'm thinking that, like, he got all this money frozen. He said all these things near the Capitol that sounds like he's telling people to storm the Capitol, and he gets away with it all. He gets his money back. He gets away with it all. So I'm thinking that maybe he gave the feds or one of his Jewish producers who had access to all of the basic subscriber information, which is something that they would want, the feds would want, that's what they used in order to identify people at the Capitol, because they knew he had a lot of followers who were in the Capitol. They had people wearing America First hats in the Capitol, so there's tons of footage of people in the Capitol, so they match the faces to the basic subscriber information, and then bam, you have a conviction coming their way. They have the NSA, the FBI, CIA, whatever, looking into everything they've ever posted, even privately, and either way they have search warrants, so they're all fucked after that. So I think it's possible that he gave them that basic subscriber information, because AmericaFirst.live became defunct pretty quickly after it started. All he did with it was try to stream off of fake YouTube links, like private or unlisted YouTube links. And then eventually, after like many months later, he moved to Cozy TV, and he started Cozy TV as his own specific endeavor, and then that became a huge thing. So I think that's a pretty good conspiracy theory to say that he might have snitched, and how he might have snitched. He handed over the basic subscriber information. Now, at the same time, he has potentially disproven a lot of these things. So let's see what he actually has to say personally, because this makes me change my opinions on what I think happened. Though I'm not fully convinced, I still think that he may have snitched. But I think this mostly disproves that. But we'll see. What do you guys think? Alright, so I watched a stream a couple nights ago where he finally defends the fact that people are saying he's a Fed because of these reasons. Now, one big thing is why did it take him this long to defend these specific accusations? Maybe he has done it before, but I feel like I would have seen it before because I follow Nick Fuentes pretty closely. So why haven't I seen him defend against these accusations? Unless he was waiting with like 5D chess strategy for his enemies to finally spring this upon him, and then he had an epic plan to shut it down. I don't necessarily think that's the truth. I think he had a lot of time to think about this and to plan how he's going to talk about this. So this is his stream from a few nights ago. Hold on, let me just make sure I'm caught up on all super chats and everything. I'm seeing a lot of Nick's a Gay Mexican. Casual nips. Gensty, you can't give me that much money and ask for a casual nip slip. It's not casual if you're giving me $100 for it. It's very warranted. It's very solicited. I don't know if you know how to buy a prostitute, but if you give them $100 and say, "Can I get some just subtle pussy?" and then you just think you could slip your dick in, that is not legal, dude. You're soliciting, bro. Casual nips for $100, dude. You're giving the feds all they need to indict us all. Do you want us all to go down? You for soliciting, me for participating in sexual degeneracy. Come on, Jenstein. You know better than this. You're gonna have to pay a lot more money if we're all gonna go down. Fuck, dude. By the way, make sure you slap a like on the Rumble stream. On the Rumble stream. Alright? Oh my god. A casual nip slip. How is it going to be casual? This isn't no Janet Jackson Super Bowl of 2003 shit, you know? I don't have some freak show pulling down my shirt. I don't know what you mean by casual nip slip. Yeah, Canadian girl. The legal expert Canadian girl who's being charged herself for hate speech says Entropy would be charged with living of the avails of prostitution. Well, thank you, Canadian girl. I know I could have you. I know you have my back. Thank you. Appreciate it. This sick pervert, Jenstein, he just takes it too far sometimes, you know. Well, next thing he's going to be asking for a casual ball slip, a casual jack off slip. Oh, I just casually jacked myself off in front of the camera for $1,000, and where are we at now, okay? That's just not acceptable, dude. All right, let's see Nick's proof that he's not a Fed. Let's fucking go. All right, here it is. Whoa. How did I get there? 3019.
I jumped up, and I'll show you where I was. I'll show you precisely where I was. This is important evidence. We're getting into the nitty-gritty here.
There we go.
I said, all right, now this is where I was. Take a look at where I am. You can see very clearly where I was on the Capitol complex. This is me with the megaphone right here. That's Vince. That's my friend, former friend. Now just soak in where I am. Look at this location.
I'm soaking it
in
in.
context of where the Capitol building is. Now, if you look and pay attention, on the Capitol complex, I was right here at the, I think it's called the Circle of Peace. I was right here giving that speech. And if you look it up, the Peace Circle. This is the Peace Circle. That is the statue where I gave the speech. Now, look at the picture here. Okay, you can see this is the Peace Circle. This is the
Peace
video.
Circle.
That is the statue.
He did the speech from the Peace Circle, so, Your Honor, court adjourned. Overruled. It was the Peace Circle. He wanted peace.
Where I was. It's the same statue. Now, if you look at a map, it is 500 feet from the Capitol building. 500 feet from where the building actually is. Now, everybody that got arrested, either two or three things were true about them. There were close to 2,000 people that got charged on January 6th, and one of three things was true about all of them. They were either charged with trespassing because they were on restricted grounds. They were charged with some form of violence or vandalism because of an altercation with media or police, or they broke something. Or third, they were involved in a militia. Out of 2,000 defendants, one of those things is true about all of them.
So that's what he says. He says, one, they were on restricted grounds. Two, they committed violence or vandalism. Or three, they were a part of specifically the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers, like supposed militia groups that had some kind of coordinated effort in order to do something on January 6th. So I was like, okay, so Nick definitely didn't fall into any of those things, and he was kind of fed posting right outside of the restricted grounds. But a few other groypers made a good point. It says all sorts of boomers were fed posting all over the place. Like, whether they were there or not, they were fed posting all over the place, being like, take it over, take it over. Even Donald Trump himself said something like, don't relent, or don't stop, like, keep going, keep going. And then they banned him from all social media platforms, literally Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of them at the same time. It was a coordinated effort. The literal president of the United States, but he still never got charged for anything. So I did run what he just said through Grok to see if what he actually said was true, and I don't see why it wouldn't be true, especially after this confirmation. I asked, did anyone get charged and convicted for inciting people to storm the Capitol on January 6th that wasn't A, on restricted grounds, B, committed violence or vandalism themselves, or C, was part of either the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers? And it said, based on available information, no individuals were charged and convicted solely for inciting the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol riot without also being associated with at least one of the criteria you specified. The majority of charges were from the restricted area, blah, 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 blah. Charges for incitement, such as under Brandenburg versus Ohio, 1969, which requires intent to incite imminent lawless action and likelihood of producing such action, are complex and rare. And that is such the case in America, where free speech rules, the First Amendment rules, right? And the First Amendment rules to say that, like, it takes a lot for an incitement charge to be declared something, right? Meanwhile, in Canada, incitement to public hatred is a literal crime that our friend that I just responded to in the chat, Canadian girl, has been fucking charged with. She's incitement to public hatred because she filmed the Jeet saying, fuck you, Jeet, fuck you, Jeet, fuck you, go fuck off, invader. Because she did that, that's incitement to hatred. That's how fucking pathetic and cucked we are compared to First Amendment in America. I'm making some comparisons here, and I'm giving an offhanded comparison to somebody who's in our chat, but somebody who I care about their legal situation because it is important. And she's asking, so if by miracle they don't put me in jail and drop or less my charges and the fine, is everybody gonna call me a fed and boot me from the group? Yeah. What group? Are people gonna boot? I personally don't think that your strategy is the best strategy towards saving our people, but I think that what you did was based in what you really believe to save our people. And I think you have that in your heart, and I'll defend you for that. You committed not a hate speech crime, but you committed free speech at its fullest extent. So yeah, I'd fucking defend you. Yeah, so it says, for example, high-profile figures like Donald Trump Jr., Rudy Giuliani, and Mo Brooks were investigated for potentially inciting the riot. They were investigated, right? But no federal charges for incitement were filed against them. Legal experts noted that proving incitement under Brandenburg versus Ohio is difficult, and no convictions for incitement alone, absent the criteria you outlined, are documented in the provided sources. So yeah, that gives a bit more insight, and it kind of fact checks what Nick was saying, because it's just like, just because you were outside of restricted grounds, does that necessarily mean that you're legally untouchable? Apparently it does. Apparently, sometimes all it takes is you stepping over a fucking line, and then the context of what you're saying is completely fucking different. It's pretty crazy. Sorry, I'm seeing a super chat on Entropy right now that I missed before, from the Cosmo Creator, saying Tucker is into Jewish mysticism. I'd rather listen to 5440. yeah. He's saying that he doesn't like that Jew magic. He likes just some straight up Canadian classic rock. And I agree with that. So let's see what else he has to say in his defense.
This is the yellow line is where the barricades were. I was not on restricted grounds. These are the restricted grounds. I was not on them. I was 500 feet from the building. When I said take down the barricades, disregard the police, I was talking about the barricades on the lawn here. And by the way, nobody on the lawn even got charged. Nobody that was on the lawn got charged for being on the lawn. There were thousands of people on the lawn. People got charged for being inside the building, being in the threshold. They got charged if they beat up cops, broke stuff, or they got charged because they were either in the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, or the 3%ers. I didn't fight with cops or break anything. I wasn't in a militia. I wasn't on restricted grounds. 500 feet from the building. Now, something else happened after that. So I gave the speech. I wasn't on restricted grounds. And by the way, I was with a group of about 20 people. Not one of them got charged because I led them away from the Capitol. I was with and the people there, they could testify to this or not, but the guy that was standing next to me, all of them. Vince James was right here. He did not get charged. This doofus was here. He did not get charged. This guy was here. He did not get charged. This guy was there. He did not get charged. Or I'm sorry, I don't have let me go back. I don't have it in front of me. Vince James here, not charged. Doofus did not get charged. This guy. None of these people got charged. And that's because I was with the group walking to the Capitol. I gave the speech. And then I said, this is getting hairy. This is getting dicey. Tear gas started coming down. I said, let's get out of here. We all left. So this idea that I was ordering people into the Capitol, not true. Not true at all. Everybody that was with me did not get charged. I led people away from the Capitol, but that's what happened. Now, a couple of
So there you have it. I think that was a pretty formidable defense from him. Now, there's this forum going around that groypers, these homosexual little twinks, are trying to get people to sign. It says, fill out the Nick Fuentes apology form, please. Right? So, so let's see if I need to fill out this form. Now that I've heard him give his own defense to the fact that he's not a fad, even though he could have done it a lot earlier, which makes me very sussed out about how long he's had to concoct this. So let's see. Nick Fuentes apology form to Nick Fuentes from me. Date today. Reason for behavior. I was coping and seething. I was not coping nor seething. So fuck off. I judged him purely from what other people said. No, I judged him purely from what my own cognition told me about him. I looked at multiple sources of evidence. You're not going to cuck me on that one. I believed in the 5D chest. No, there's no 5G chest going on here. I don't even know what you're talking about. To say that there's 5D chess going on against Nick Fuentes is retarded. I don't know politics. No, I know politics. Fuck off. Why did I latch on to Nick Fuentes early on and then move away from him after? It's not because I don't know politics. Or else you're saying something about me recognizing him early on that, and then disengaging with him later on, that somehow I do or don't know politics. You don't know what you're talking about. I was being too harsh on him. Okay, maybe I was being too harsh on him. That speech that he gave was really sus. And there was also the fact that he got his money frozen and he got put on a no-fly list, and he grifted off of it, in my opinion. But he definitely did get those things happening to him. And just to give some context, so basically what happened a bit before, like a few months before January 6th happened, he got a massive Bitcoin donation. And it was like $500,000 or so. And the same person who donated $500,000 to Nick Fuentes, he donated like the other half, for like the other like 300,000 or 400,000 of it to all these other different streamers, like even Ethan Ralph and all these other white nationalist, pro-white streamers. And it turned out that this was a guy who had like an incurable cancerous disease, and this is what he wanted to do with his life, and he left a suicide note. He committed suicide, and he left all this money to people who he thought were the most effective pro-white people, and Nick Fuentes was the one who got the most money. And yeah, because he was the most effective at the time, I will admit that, and I will understand the wishes of this dying man. It was true, and I would have thought the same thing if I was dying at the same time, and I wanted to do the same thing. So, obviously, after Jan 6, the feds looked into these kinds of donations to see if they were related to January 6th, like they funded the insurrection and all this stuff. So yeah, of course he got his funds frozen and seized, and it took a bit for them to figure out that yeah, he just actually got a legitimate donation. Do they really want to open it up to the world that he got a legitimate donation just like everybody else did? I think one of the main sour points and one of the main sticking points for a lot of the haters is that they say that even after he got back his money, he used the fact that his bank account was frozen and that he's on the no-fly list, that he kept using that as excuses even after those excuses expired, right? So he got his money back. He was back on the fly list or whatever it was. He was able to fly again, but he kept using those things as a way to grift donations, which could be even like a difference between the language you use when you're asking for donations. Like, I'm the most banned guy. I'm banned off of this and that and that. And it's like, okay, so you just got unbanned though. So can you keep using that as something to hype up that specific fundraiser? So you see what I'm getting at here? Things get very hairy, and it can get very unethical when you get to the point where it's just like, so people still think that you haven't got your money back, and it's like 10 months into the year of 2021, but you got your money back 7 months into the year of 2021, and you already know it, and you didn't tell people right away. So I don't know what the exact situation is here, but I'm not certain either way that some grifting has been done either way. But I'm trying to give an honest analysis of it. Fuck. Dr. Genstein says, the only date that matters is October 7th. The only date that matters is October 7th? Are you trying to create a date, a sexual date with somebody on that day? Because knowing you, that's what you're trying to do, and that's sick. You want to have a sexual or maybe like weirdly platonic date with somebody on October 7th. The only reason you're picking that date is for sick reasons. But also, I get what you're saying too as well. The only date that matters is October 7th. That's actually a true historiographical and social truth. Because after October 7th, the Jews just split to the right. They think that because the left no longer supports them, after seeing, like, it's hilarious because Hamas attacks Israel. But somehow out of that, the fact that Hamas did like a monstrous terrorist attack against Israel, even though I agree with like their sentiment and why they did it, because Israel has just been terroristic against them for decades prior. But at the same time, October 7th just created a whole new paradigm where now, even though fucking Palestinians finally attacked Israel, now leftists are solidifying more against the Jewish right, more against Zionism. So that is like the craziest date in history, because Jewish supremacy does define our modern paradigm right now. And October 7th was like their new attempted Holocaust. They're trying to make that be the new Holocaust because they need a new Holocaust. So October 7th is the biggest thing that has happened in history since the Holocaust, and they're trying to fake all of these war, hate crimes and stuff out of it, but it's not working. And it's hilarious because the leftists, the whole leftist paradigm, and especially all these minorities, are not falling for it. So then Jews are flocking to the right wing, but they're also trying to make the right wing not criticize Jews, which is what happens when you encounter people like Nick Fuentes. So that Jewish influence, they hate people like, even like Tucker. Tucker has been giving influence to people like Candace Owens. He interviewed some Christian, I think it's George Stroumboulopoulos', here's some Canadian lore. George Stroumboulopoulos, let me just figure out if this is actually real, because I heard about this. George Stroumboulopoulos' sister, none. Tucker? So who's the nun that went on Tucker Carlson? I heard it was George Stroumboulopoulos' sister. Is that correct? Or did I just
Thank you for doing this.
Stephanopoulos. Okay, I got trolled. Mother Agapia Stephanopoulos. Yikes. It wasn't George Stroumboulopoulos. It was... Sorry. Mother Agapia Stephanopoulos. My bad. I got trolled. Well, either way, these people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, they've been forced to contend with the fact that Israeli war crimes are happening constantly because of October 7th. And October 7th is hilarious because it's a bunch of fucking Hamas niggas paragliding into Israel and shooting a bunch of niggas up and taking a bunch of Israeli Jew niggas and taking them back as hostages. And it's the most base thing that they've done in a long time. It's the most epic thing they've done in a long time. But now that's considered terrorism, even though the Jews have been in Israel have been attacking, killing them like 10, 15, 20 to 1 when it comes to casualties. So they get one up on them, and then it's open season. And after October 7th, post October 7th, they've just been absolutely massacring the Palestinian people. So yeah, we're living in a post October 7th world. It's the biggest day that matters because the Jews have really shown their face to show how disgusting and how much they'll really kill people when they get attacked in a way, or when they're given the excuse. It's really disgusting. So I want to get into more shit. Like, I could talk more about Milo and how he's a gay Jew and how he's a Fed and how he has a hard drive full of everybody he's ever talked to, and he claims that, and he thinks that that's like a huge flex. I could get into that. It's kind of fucking gay. I told you how Nick Fuentes got his money frozen because of the French donor, who was like a French tech guy, who gave all this Bitcoin to him and to other right-wing influencers upon his death. And it was right before January 6th. He committed suicide before January 6th even happened. So then, yeah, the police probably saw that that's where he got the money from. It had nothing to do with it, so they gave the money back. Nick also got put on the no-fly list. I think this may be where he's kind of lying, because he got all pissy when the flight attendants told him to put his mask on, and he didn't do it, and he got all bitchy about it, and I think he got kicked off the flight. So that might be a part of it, because he didn't mention anything about that. But, you know what, I don't really give a shit about that. good on you for being pissy at a bunch of flight attendants. Like, if you grifted off of it, yeah, that's a bit more greasy, but yeah, at least fuck them flight attendants. Bunch of faggots and bitches trying to get your tips and, get you to buy more shots on the flight, more alcohol shots. Just give me my juice, bitch. Give me my juice and my shitty sandwich and shut the fuck up and stop being gay and a slut. Because we all know you're just a flight. Every female flight attendant is a hardcore fucking slut. Every male flight attendant is a faggot. So fuck off. I'm probably on a no-fly list after saying that, so I sympathized with Nick Fuentes there. I want to show you a couple of the people who are chirping Nick. This is Candace Owens talking with Harvey Weinstein from jail. So, Candace Owens pretended like she was friends with Nick Fuentes, but this is her. Somebody who is like controlled you up. So she's like a person who's allowed to talk about Jews, and she's a supposed anti-Semite. But this is her, like she's done a few good stuff. Like she did a stream about the USS Liberty, which is a great red pill. But it's just like, if you're gonna talk about the JQ and you're gonna be effective with your platform, you gotta keep on that JQ, and you know you're gonna get banned if you keep doing that. But then she just goes on all these weird tangents where it's just like, I'm gonna talk about how Emmanuel Macron's wife is actually a tranny for like 10 streams in a row. I'm gonna talk about how Kamala Harris is not actually fully black; she's some other type of non-white, and why does that fucking matter? This is the kind of bullshit, conspiracy, truth stuff that she does and pretends like it's actually relevant. And now she's talking to Harvey Weinstein from jail. So let's see what they say. Let's see who Harvey Weinstein thinks is actually running the fucking media.
Considered that it could be deeper, that there was somebody who wanted you put away, that there may have been someone who wanted your company, because to me, there is just overwhelming evidence that you were set up here. It looks to me like a modern day hit. I don't know who you upset. I don't know what they were after, but it just looks to me like a rigged system and they took you out. To me, it looks like it was just a show trial and the outcome was already determined before you even stepped into that courtroom. I do think that you stepped on somebody's toes. Like there's somebody's toes that you stepped on that you may not have been aware of when you were in Hollywood, because you had a lot of power. You had a lot of power.
You know, I can't say who.
Why not? Why can't you say who? What do you have to lose?
Because
Were they other Jews? Were they other Jews?
I'm not sure that I'm right.
And you say, I think. Maybe. I really want to push you on this point, Harvey, because I think it's very significant. I mean, you had the greatest movies that were in Hollywood. You had a lot of power, and I'm wondering if there was anybody in Hollywood that you may have been.
Yeah, the greatest movies. He said, yes, you could do that with my money. He had the greatest movies. You stupid fucking black bitch. I'll kill you. Sorry, I'll be kind to you.
Fighting with at that time. Just anything that could have been going on. Because I think there's something bigger happening here.
There wasn't a fight per se, but the establishment, I would not say, was my friends.
Right. And what is the establishment in Hollywood?
It's normally the big studios, but I can't say that they were part of this.
It's the big studios that's running Hollywood. Yes, Goy.
Right. No, I'm just wondering, like, who in the end, who owns all those movies now? Who owns your catalog? What happened to your company?
We sold the catalog to a company called Be-In, you know what I mean, which is owned by the Qatari government.
No, not the Qatari government. You're asking the Jewish pedophile Weinstein from jail, and he's telling you who runs Hollywood? None other than the Qataris. I'm Qatarded. I'm Qatarded if I don't believe what is coming out of this fucking pedophile Jew's mouth. I must be fucking Qatarded. I must be fucking mentally Qatarded. Thank you, Candace, for this excellent. I thought you were on the pill to being red pilled, but on the path of being red pilled, but apparently this is where you're going with it.
And we sold the other part of the library to a company called Spyglass and Lantern, which is owned by the Saudi Arabian.
It's also the Saudis.
Very
yeah.
interesting. I'm asking
Very
these questions because
interesting.
my investigation.
Because you're a dumb fucking black cunt. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Worked with the prior education.
So I want to get on the next topic. I want to get on to a few more topics before we end it off tonight. Jonathan Greenblatt, the CEO of the ADL, the worst fucking Jewish organization that tries to censor people in the U.S. He says, Jonathan Greenblatt confirms the ADL is working with the Trump administration to implement their national strategy to counter anti-Semitism. He says, this foreign operative has no business being anywhere near the U.S. government. So let's hear what he has to say. Because I would have initially thought that the ADL was for the Democrats. It was a leftist thing. And that the right was against it. Because the ADL for the last fucking 8 years was like, Trump is an anti-Semite. Every fucking Trump associate is an anti-Semite. They're connected. If they're not an anti-Semite or a hate monger, they're connected to a hate group or an anti-Semite. But the chameleon, the shape-shifting Jew shifts shapes or changes colors when it comes to a political party, from red to blue back to red. He's just blending into the background. As you can see, he has all blue in his background, and he's got a blue suit. He's very bluish. If you ask me.
Education secretary, and I've worked with this education secretary. And I credit the Biden administration for their national strategy to counter anti-Semitism, a really important document. No one had done what the Biden administration had done before in elevating anti-Semitism to a federal priority. And ADL, in full disclosure, worked with them on that.
So all he cares about is elevating anti-Semitism as a national priority. That's literally all these Jewish censorship programs really care about, because they're ultimately funded by Jewish groups. And that's their ultimate goal, is to defend their own group. But they will use every other ethnic group as a proxy in order to defend their own racial interests. And you're going to see that through the next pieces of videos and information that I purse on to you in the next few minutes.
And they get a lot of credit for adopting the plan. And then I give credit to the Trump administration for actually implementing aspects of the plan and taking a strong view, again, in the face of real, not imagined, real acts of hate.
So this is the person who was vehemently, adamantly against Trump throughout the last 8 years, because he was like a vehicle of anti-Semitism and hate and racial hatred. But now he's on board with it. These people, these Jews who are trying to brainwash you, think you have the memory of a fucking goldfish. And it's sickening, and you should never let them live that down.
Real acts of discrimination. Again, we helped to write the national strategy to counter anti-Semitism, released by the Biden administration. We were deeply involved in that. We are working as well with the Trump administration. This is what we do.
Yeah, that's what you do. Bipartisanship. Bipartisan subversion. So as you see here, there's another headline that says ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt, that's him, announced that he's concerned about rising intermarriage rates in the Jewish community. Oh no, isn't that hate? Isn't it hate to prefer your own kind? I thought that was hate, because that's definitely any racial preference that white people have towards other white people is considered vehement hate. It's just absolutely hate. It's hatred, right? So I wasn't sure whether this video actually existed, and I found it. I found the source for this video, for this statement.
Is it your sense?
So, the headline of this video says ADL CEO Jonathan Green laments that intermarriage rates are continuing to rise amongst Jews. Turns out his anti-racist shtick only goes so far. Let's hear it.
Jewish people are getting complacent, that they're not engaging to degrees and levels we should be?
I have met a lot of October 8th Jews for whom the massacre on October 7th was a wake-up call. I've met a lot of people who feel much more galvanized, much more organized. But that will only be sustained if we offer them, ways to participate in a real and robust way in Jewish life.
Mm-hmm. And whose responsibility is that? In essence?
All of ours.
Yeah.
But this is why we need a revolution in our community on so many levels. So look, the reality is
he's talking to another Jew, by the way,
that intermarriage rates continue to go up.
Oh no, intermarriage rates continue to go up. No, we have to be able to solidify our own group interests. But we're also trying to ban everybody else from doing that, especially white people.
Assimilation continues apace. And look, isolation continues apace. The reality is that intermarriage rates continue to go up.
Intermarriage rates continue to go up.
Assimilation continues apace.
Assimilation continues. So you're trying to make sure that Jews are a separate part of things. And meanwhile, everybody else trying to do the same thing is bad. Meanwhile, your whole shtick is also that America is a melting pot and we're all supposed to be the same. We know what you're up to, Jew.
And look, I fight anti-Semitism. That is my job.
Right.
But
yeah,
I worry
we know
a
it
great
is.
deal about broader questions of Jewish identity, as I think we talked about over lunch.
Is it your sense that...
So if you want a better understanding on how Jews have evolved over the 1900s, the 20th century, is that they have overtaken all academic institutions, all academic genres, from anthropology, sociology, psychology, philosophy. They've taken them all over. And especially in realms like psychology, they have proposed ideologies like psychoanalysis, which was headed by a clique of Freud. What's his name again? Freud? Carl... I forget his whole name. Freud. Sorry, Sigmund Freud. So Sigmund Freud developed the psychology theory of psychoanalysis, and it included such gems as people are so dysfunctional that they want to fuck their own mothers and kill their fathers, and they have weird dreams that mean that those things are all true. And there's all these other weird psychologies and sciences that have evolved from Jewish sciences all throughout the 1900s. Another thing they also did to anthropology was that they made anthropology go from being the fact that we understand that evolution is consistent amongst different races and amongst different people, and that, humans evolve in a certain way, and it's Darwinian, right? So it's not even like it's some weird Christian, like, oh, we evolved from Adam and Eve or anything like that. It's not anything that is like religious or superstitious. It's based on science. It's based on science that people evolved from their specific ancestors over thousands of years. But what they try to do here is try to say that there's no racial hierarchy. And one of the main outcomes of this anthropological science that was actually real, said that genetics account for like 40 to 50 or more percent of the outcomes of a person or groups of people en masse. So that means that when you have a group of people, like in Africa, who have an average 70 IQ, they're not going to be able to accomplish much more than that based on their genetic situation. And even when you bring those Africans over the course of hundreds of years to a place like America or Canada, they're only going to go up to an average IQ of about 85. So that's the role that environment plays in that situation. And even then, 85 IQ is not enough to create a first world nation. But white people have an average IQ of 100 in white nations. So even when you extract people from sub-Saharan Africa or whatever, like India, where they're even worse and they're even shittier, and you bring them to a place like America or first world countries, there's still going to be a massive gap in what the genetics and the environment can accomplish for these people. And it's ultimately going to end up in a bastardized regression to the means of what those people were bringing in. It's going to fall back because that's the effect that genetics have on people and their environments. So that's always going to be the situation. And Jewish influence, Jewish supremacy has always been on the forefront of making sure that people don't understand this situation, that this information is discarded, it's hidden. They're always on the forefront of it because it makes them feel like they are more guarded in this scenario, like they're not going to be pointed out. But the fact that they're doing this is making them being pointed out now more than ever in a modern era where we have things like AI, we have things like social media, we have modern technology that makes it so that cognizant people are able to see this immediately. So what are you going to do about it? What the fuck are you going to do about it? I still have a few more things I want to cover before we get on to the last topic. I need to dip out for a second, but I'm going to play another great Canadian classic song. This one is by Lighthouse. And we're going to be back to do the tail end of the stream with you guys. So I'll be back in a second.
Calling, come with me, baby, and we'll fly. Everywhere we go, we'll laugh and sing. I kiss you morning, noon, and night. And all the universe will smile on us, 'cause they know that our love is finally right. Yeah, we'll fly. Yeah, we'll fly. We'll fly. Yeah, we'll fly. Yeah, we'll fly to the east. We'll fly to the west. There'll be no place we can't call our own. Yeah, we'll fly to the north. We'll fly to the south. Every planet will become our home. Yeah, we'll fly. Yeah, we'll fly. Yeah, we'll fly to the east. We'll fly to the west. There'll be no place we can't call our own. We'll fly to the north. We'll fly to the south. Every planet will become our home. Yeah.
Okay, that's enough. How many solos can we endure? That was One Fine Morning by Lighthouse. It's a fucking awesome band, awesome song. This is like Canadian Chicago. You know the band Chicago? Where they have, what's that? What are Chicago songs? I forget what their songs are. But this is like Canadians Chicago. What's the band? Fuck off. Chicago band songs. Yeah, Saturday in the Park. Will You Still Love Me? Feeling Stronger. Anybody? Does anyone really know what time it is? It's like the classic rock band where they had a massive symphony. That's Canadians classic. The Canadian classic rock band that had a massive symphony. They had great hits like One Fine Morning When I Wake Up, Sunday Morning, and a bunch of other dope songs. Like, they're really good. See you later, Trent Dabbs. Peace out. Oh, we have some super chats going over here on Rumble. We have Justice for Father saying based to whiteness. Based to whiteness? Yeah, I really like whiteness. And I really like being based. I don't know what you're trying to say. Stop bringing back to Nick, that fucking Jew. Let's bring it back to Jeremy and his white nationalist rhetoric. Okay, well, no, I really like Nick, okay? So, I brought it back to him. I don't usually... What I'm really pissed off about Nick Fuentes with is that he was counter-signaling other people who are pushing white nationalist rhetoric, especially Patriot Front. And in my opinion, he's doing that because he wants all the super chats. He wants all the donos. He wants all the young guys like secretly fans of him while they're doing whatever they're doing in the world. But that's not enough for a lot of people. And then he's just downplaying what other people are doing. And then his way of shitting on Patriot Front is, well, like, I'm not against what, like, your secret fraternity, but when you go out and you do these retard rallies where you're going out and marching, well, how else are they supposed to get attention if they're not whoring social media attention with charismatic leaders who are trying to hoard social media attention like you are? How are they supposed to do that? How is Patriot Front supposed to get followers like you get groypers if they don't go out and they do their marches that you call retard marches? When at the end of the day, he's saying that like it's heat score or you're going to get in trouble because you're part of some group you signed up, apparently. Dude, most groypers get caught just because they're groypers, and you don't think that the feds could find your basic subscriber information, and you don't think that most groypers are retarded enough that they'll get doxxed immediately because they're young guys and people don't instruct them enough to be able to have the right OPSEC. I've seen that multiple times. I was in Canada First and I saw stupid young kids get doxxed who didn't want to get doxxed, including kind of myself. For participating in these kinds of activities. And then anti-hate or the SPLC or ADL came after them. And this is the kind of things that happen. And this will happen like tenfold more if you're a groyper and you're involved in the scene, and then Nick will probably throw you under the bus and say that you're a retard. So yeah, at least if you join Patriot Front, like it's much more anonymous. With if you're gonna join America First and be a groyper anonymously, it's still gonna require that you have an account of some sort that you're gonna contribute to, whether it's a psyops or to making some good accounts that are gonna be like anon accounts. You could get doxxed at any day of the week, and it could happen in the future too as well. And the thing with Patriot Front and all these groups that are in real life, it's like you can actually go and box and spar and improve yourself physically and mentally in a way in real life with people who want to do the same. And the way that instead of relying on the homosexual Mexican, I'm putting a dig at him. I don't really mean that, but instead of relying on Nick Fuentes, you guys can all create your own cells of white nationalists who want to do the best that they can together, who want to gather together in ways that men should, which is by improving physically and mentally and networking socially with each other. And Nick wants to counter-signal that because Patriot Front isn't doing it in the exact way that he wants it to do. And it's probably because a lot of groypers are going off to Patriot Front. There's always a flow of people. It could be going from Patriot Front to groypers, but I suspect that it's a lot more of groypers who don't feel at home or fans of Nick Fuentes. They're not groypers necessarily, that go towards actual white nationalist active club type groups like Patriot Front, and then he gets pissed off. I think that's what's happening, and now he's trying to do a subtle poison pill fed jacket against groups like Patriot Front and say, hey, you might catch a RICO charge, the conspiracy charges, because anything you do as part of a group, now you're going to catch a conspiracy charge, like you're part of a criminal organization, which is a legitimate concern, but I think it's overhyped by him as somebody who has invested interest in not wanting his little groypers to go and join a movement IRL, when instead they could be doing secret plotting and getting into organizations while sending all their money as super chats towards him. That's what I think is going on, and why he's so adamant on not cooperating with other groups. So I'm seeing some other super chats here now. I have Jenstein with the thank you very much, dude. He says, suddenly I have a need for 3 German Shepherds with red armbands. So I think I've radicalized one of my super chatters. His name was Dr. Jenstein. I don't know if that is Jewish or German. I don't know if he's a Jewish doctor that wants to trans my kid, or if he's a German doctor, because Jen Steen. Steen is actually a well-known German name, so he might be part of Operation Paperclip. Like, he was a top Nazi, but he was so smart as a Nazi that we brought him over, and Alex Jones is coping and seeing. He's like, Operation Paperclip! Operation Clip! Bill Gates is a Nazi! They're all Nazis who are trying to take over. And it's just like, yeah, and we have epic Chad German Nazis like Dr. Jenstein who have come, and suddenly he has a need for 3 German Shepherds and red armbands, and we're so back again, boys. It's great to have you here, Dr. Jenstein, as usual. Thank you. We have Trough Work, who says, anti-Semitism bad, anti-white, anti-Semitism bad, anti-white, no problem, because the Jews are the chosen people. You know, they chose themselves, of course. Yeah. So, what he's trying to say here, if we want to compartmentalize this, is the Jews are trying to tell you anti-Semitism is bad in all courses, in all situations. Anti-whiteism, no problem. Well, I think everything he's saying is pretty obvious. How can I contextualize this in a way? Because I just read a couple more chapters of this great book called The Culture of Critique by Kevin MacDonald. And the way that they exact this specific strategy is that they overcame all sciences, all sociology, psychology, whatever the academic science is, whether it's an actual science or it's something that's subjective, and especially the subjective things like sociology, psychology even, which is not so much subjective, but you could definitely make it subjective. But stuff that is opinion-based, like anything where you can inject activism into, that's what Jewish supremacy did all throughout the 1900s. And they made it so that in-group preferences from Gentiles, especially the host white majoritarian population, are all bad. Anything that the white majority does in order to stay cohesive and cognizant of their own in-group strategy, all of that is bad. That means that you having a father figure in your family that wants to keep your family cohesive, that's bad. That's oppressive. That means that you're actually repressing, like, deep hatred towards all of each other. And that's why the Freudian Jewish psychology is much better and preferable, because if you have somebody who's rebelling against your father, then that's actually healthy because they recognize the truth, and it's just all absolute complete nonsense like that. The way that Jewish academics overtook all academia throughout the 1900s just made it so that we went from a society that knew that it was normal to be homogeneous, that we should be 95% white or whatever it was. And then by the 1960s, they broke down those barriers through the long march of the institutions through communism, which was like a Jewish psyop. Communism was a Jewish psyop. Let's just say it like that, without mincing words. And then going forward, that's how we ended up in a state right now where Canada is at like 70 and going downwards, probably like nearing 60 soon % white. And even in the last 5 years or so, there's been a massive invasion of East Indians or South Asian Indians that make it so that in many of the major cities, whenever you walk outside, all you see is these fucking Jeets. It's fucking disgusting. Like, I wouldn't even be talking like this even 2-3 years ago, even when I was red pilled. But seeing the way that things are playing out right now is just fucked. It's so just horrible to see. Are people being displaced like this? You know what? Even just to cheer myself up a little bit. Like walking outside of my house each day, just going for a walk around the block. It's like 90% non-white. That's not fucking okay. Everybody knows that, but they won't say shit about it. But we're gonna say something about it. And we're gonna do something about it. And, you know, there's new young people who are willing to say something about it. Let's just see this guy right here. This proud, brave teenager who told the G to fuck off. Let's honor this motherfucker right here. They're both just breathing and seething at each other. This G who has the look of the devil in his eyes, and this teenager wearing a backpack, white teenager just holding his own. I fucking love it.
I am telling you that I'm about to leave, but I ain't scared of shit. Okay? You better watch your fucking mouth.
Pussy, fuck you.
You better watch your fucking mouth. Next time I see you on street, I'm gonna fucking fuck you.
Yeah, you're gonna get fucked up, buddy. You're gonna fucking rape somebody? Like, why doesn't this guy get a charge for rape threats? Next time I see you in the street, I'm gonna fucking fuck you. So that is clearly a threat. Will he be charged like those white lads joking around in Peterborough? Or will we fully be admitting that Browns can just do and say whatever they want with impunity? Because they're fucking retarded. They say, I bloody fuck you, I bloody rape you, I bloody fucking fuck. I watched a fucking Canadian girl, you gotta, like, not post these kinds of things, but I literally watched a video of a Jeet fuck a dead animal full of maggots. And before I knew what I was seeing, I watched the video and I was like, oh my god, fuck, Canadian girl. Why would you even post that? No wonder you're going to jail, you fucking crazy bitch. But it's just like, why the fuck would anyone do that? Of course a Jeet would do something that fucking disgusting and ruin my day. And Canadian girl was just trying to red pill me about it. But it's still disgusting. You shouldn't post that, Canadian girl. That's crazy. That's crazy. But, yeah. Hats off to that guy who stood up to that freak. And you did it in the right way. And what are they going to do? Are they going to ruin your life for standing up to this disgusting freak like that? Probably not. But they're going to ruin these guys' lives. Because they thought it was funny to troll a little bit. Hold on. Wrong link. I don't know. This was really funny. Like, if this happened to me, I'd be like, okay, these guys were a little bit of dickheaded bullies if they did this to me for any reason. But to say that they were threatening to kill me is a huge overreach. So this is an 18-year-old man from Kawartha Lakes. Only 18 years old, by the way. He's almost a minor. 18-year-old man from Kawartha Lakes has been charged with uttering threats to cause death or bodily harm after allegedly harassing a couple outside a Peterborough mall and yelling racial slurs at him. So let's see what actually happened. Oh, that's horrible.
Stupid nigga!
He called them a stupid nigger. Well, are they a stupid nigger? Huh? Oh no, oh no. That's horrible. A taunt? A taunt with middle fingers and a little dance? Throw the book at them.
Yeah, maybe they're high. Call police.
Grew all of these ficus elasticas.
I like how huge their trucks' wheels are. Sorry, I don't know much about trucks, but that looks like pretty epic truck. If I were a Jeet, I would be scared of a vehicle that large because, like, Jeets, they can't help but throw themselves in front of trains. I feel like a vehicle that big, they can't help but throw themselves in front of, under, I don't know. Like a Jeet can't help but get killed by something like that. Well, clearly they want some smoke. They didn't leave. This is white man's land. You could have left at any time, but still you felt safe enough to keep sticking around and recording, I guess. You must have been in so much danger. All these uttering threats of bodily harm. Oh no. Let's go. Buddy, this is my best friend. I know this guy. He's cool. His name is Chad. Chad King. This is Chad King right here.
Oh my god, don't do that. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh no, don't do that. Don't hump my rear view mirror. No, that's literally, you raped my wife. No. No. Okay, throw the book at him. Throw the book at that is the worst thing that could have possibly happened to a minority. I love the way he walks back. That is hilarious. That's a hilarious run back.
Call the police.
Call the police. Oh no.
Hey, can you call 911, please?
Dude, you can't call the police on somebody as they're running away. This is Canada. You can't shoot at somebody when they're running away because they're not on your property. They've already forfeited that they're, in your zone. You can't call the police on them as they're running away. Leave them be, dude. Come on, this is Canada. Don't you know our laws that you have no rights if you're ever being accosted in the street or anywhere? If you're ever being encroached upon, you don't have any rights, Jeet. Apparently, Jeets have rights, though, and they'll make a whole kerfuffle about it. They'll do like a nationwide warrant for your arrest. If it's against a Jeet.
Yeah,
if it's racially motivated and you're white and the other person is non-white. Seems like that's a situation here.
Yeah.
Oh, take a picture of the... Oh, you figured it out, dummies.
Yeah, I got the plate number, yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. I got the plate number. I am so smart.
I got the plate number, yeah.
Want me to get out and fucking kill anybody? No.
Okay, so that's where he fucked up. I think he might have gotten away with it if he said he wanted me to get out there and kill you, buddy. He got a little riled up. It's a... Optics, bro. Just say you want to get me to get out there and hump your rear view mirror again, bitch. That would have been good. But they technically have a way to get at you. But at the same time, who knows? But you sunk yourself a little bit more there. That's why we need to have seminars for all douche bros who want to mog Jeets to be able to do it without pulling out something like that, because that's probably where you got the uttering threats thing from. And it's like, we know that that wasn't an actionable threat. You didn't have... You rolled your window up right after you said it. So we know that that wasn't an actionable threat. You didn't pull a knife. You didn't pull a gun on them. But they're going to use that against you because there's racially motivated two-tier policing targeting against white people and not fucking Jeets. So that's the situation that happened here. I think we need to do training videos for people. If you want to mog Jeets, do it in this way. Don't say X, Y, and Z, but do it in this way. And then we'll all be able to fight this in court together to be able to dispel the invaders and tell them that they're not welcome here, while also doing it legally within the law.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, I got how massively based and how jacked up his truck is from the tires. This is like a Jeet's worst nightmare. A car like this would, like, they can't help but throw themselves in front of it because they're so retarded. Oh no, he's mocking them with his tongue out. Call 911! They mock me, sir! They mock me, sir! Oh, it was like trouble. They make trouble. Over back in India, they would beat you with stick if you make trouble, sir. They would beat you with stick, and then if they hit stick on power line, they electrocute themselves and die, and then you laugh at them because they try to punish you, but they die because they're stupid, sir. It's like, fuck off, Indian piece of shit. Fuck off back to your country. You know, we have our own douchebags here. Like this guy right here. Well, hold on, let me get a good shot of him. This douchebag right here, this is our fucking douchebag. Now, I'll tell you, this guy would have been probably a nightmare for me back in elementary or even high school, unless he decided that I was cool, and then he was mean to people that I didn't like for whatever reason. But that guy was probably a nightmare to me. But fuck you, Jeet. That is our fucking douchebag right there. That is our douchebag. You don't get to put him in jail. Like, if he fucks my sister to the point where she didn't consent to it, then that douchebag is going to go to jail. Or something like that. But it's our fucking douchebag. You don't get to put our douchebag in jail. You don't get to put our high school bullies in jail. Only we do if they really take it over the line. And even then, they toughen us up and they make us more tough by being dickheads to us or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he could come out good in the end. It looks like he's come out pretty logical because he understands that you're a fucking invader. So it seems like our bully actually came up right, and now he's being fucking bullied by invaders for it. But hell, that's our douchebag. You don't get to put it in prison. Only we do in exceptional circumstances.
Saying Indians, facts.
What are you gonna do, AirPods?
Hurt him? So what
do we say?
Why did you approach like that?
Because you're black.
Huh?
No. Shut up.
Even the boys in the car, like, there's one guy in the car who's like, dude, we're already screwed, dude. Stop talking to them.
Why did you approach like that?
Why do you approach like that, sir? Like, get the fuck out of here. You're obviously not in danger if you're trying to fish for more fucking insults and antagonism from the car. Like, fuck the fuck off, fucking Jeet.
Because you're black.
Huh?
What do we say?
Why did you approach like that?
Because you're black.
Huh?
No. Shut up.
So, why did you approach like that? Because you're black, fuck off. And it's like, the other guy's like, no. Because he probably realizes, oh, fuck, we're kind of fucked here. Like, the voice of reason who's just like, I know it's funny to mock this Jeet, and he really deserves more than just a little bit of a mogging here. But, let's just, like, guys, let's fucking tone it down, because we're gonna get fucked. And these guys did get fucked, and you'll see.
Why did you approach like that?
Why did you approach like that, sir? Like, even though I'm, like, filming you, like, in front of your fucking each car door of your window to try and bait you.
Recording. No, I won't say anything back.
Your whole time.
Hey, you know what's
you're in recording.
Hey, you know
whole
what's
time.
Hey, shut up, big nose. You know what's
Big nose, yeah. Yeah, Indians do have big noses like Jews. They're basically Jews without any intellect. They're poo Jews. As Joel Davis once said. They're poo fucking Jews. They're poo Jews.
It's not illegal to go in front of your vehicle and hump you? I didn't touch you, did I? Did I touch you, yes or no?
Did I touch you? Did I touch you? Yeah, I love that. It's just like, sticking your finger in front of somebody's face. Did I touch you? Did I touch you? No, I didn't touch you. Well, you did say that you're gonna kill them or your buddy did. You're like, you want to get fucking killed? No, that was actually a question. You want to get killed? So I don't think that's a threat. You know what? I'm gonna offer it. I'm not actually a lawyer. I will offer to defend them. If they want to defend themselves, I will help defend them. So please contact me. You know my stream, guys, if you're watching this. edgy.d.tv@gmail.com. I will help with your legal case. I don't have any credentials, but, you know, I have some pretty good takes. So, on your side, too.
My car.
No, I didn't touch
It's
you.
broken.
No.
Sorry, you humped my mirror, sir. Like the Jeet doesn't even remember the guy said, you want to get killed? Or whatever he said. Like, which was just a question. It wasn't a threat, technically. But he doesn't even remember that. All he cares about is he wants to instigate more things for this video because he knows that, like the pathetic poo Jew he is, he wants to be a Jew who's actually good at, like, institutionalizing anti-Semitism. He wants to institutionalize anti-Jeetism. But the sad thing is that everyone hates Jeets. But the thing is, people don't like this guy's behavior either. So it's just kind of, we're caught in between two things where now it seems like they're being too racist and the Jeet is in in the right. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people can see through this. And the thing is, he shouldn't have to be dealing with these people here. They shouldn't be here in the first place. And that's full stop. That's full stop.
I got your license
Did
plate.
I touch you? Did I touch
got your
you?
license plate.
Hey, Big Nose. Did I touch you?
Did I touch you? Did I touch you? And it's like the Jeet has the right to tell the white bully how he can bully. No, only the white victim of the bully gets to tell the bully and put the bully to justice. Not you, Jeet. Not you. You're not Melvin. You're not Marvin. You're not, whatever other nerd name I can think of right now. You're fucking Goopinder, and you could fuck off back to India. How about that? How about I stick my finger in your face, and the next thing you know is you're seeing cross-eyed, and you're on a plane back to India. Legally, of course.
Did I touch you? Yes or no? Answer my question, you fucking
You're
idiot.
in record.
Did I answer you? I don't
Live.
care if I'm recording.
Live.
You got a free phone, you fucking immigrant.
Oh, and he nails it.
Did I touch you?
This guy nails exactly what this guy's
Yes or
about.
no? Answer my question, you fucking
You're
idiot.
in record.
Did I answer you? I don't
Live.
care if I'm recording.
Live.
You got a free phone, you fucking immigrant.
Yeah, you're recording this guy probably from your free phone as a fucking immigrant because these refugees, they receive like $80-something a day for their grocery allowance or whatever it is, and that equals to around $2,500 a fucking month, which is more than anybody makes from even minimum wage in Canada. Yet this is what we're fucking dealing with. Anyways, Heil Bullywaffen, Heil Canadian Hoserwaffen, fuck yeah. I think maybe if people were more inclined, they could deal with these Jeets in a better, more sophisticated way and not get themselves charged with uttering threats. But we'll take what we can take and we'll defend people like that. And we can remember the situation with Shiloh Hendricks, where like some little baby black kid was stealing from her little boy's from her baby purse, stealing from her baby, and then she got mad. She called him a name. Somebody intervened, and she repeated the name, and everyone donated like upwards of almost $1 million to her because people were fed up with the cancel culture. Well, I don't know if that happened with these guys. I do know that they got canceled very heavily, at least to the point I don't know if their employers fired them or not, but they went to the ends of the earth to try to get them canceled from any activities that they did. So, apparently, in addition to the criminal charge one man is facing, 2 of the men involved in the hate-motivated incident in Peterborough were immediately suspended from their sports league. So they're going to take their sports ball away from them as well. They're going to take their puck ball. So these adults were involved in like a men's league where they're just trying to have fun. But they made sure to take that away from them as well. Okay, well, we'll fucking remember that. We'll fucking remember that when you're begging against remigration. And you're saying, well, what about this SAR? And what about that SAR? Well, we were forced to give up everybody unless they accepted you in your illegality being involved in this country and your illegitimacy in being part of this country. If we didn't accept that, we got canceled every which way. So don't worry about it. Just go and have a ball back in your own country, and you can complain about it back there where you actually belong. Because our people don't deserve to be canceled in our own countries. Hockey bros don't deserve to be told that they can't play hockey because they opposed invaders like you who have no concern about hockey. Do you get how this fucking works? Holy fuck. Well, Jen Steen said, no pointing, no Jewish talk. Love you and Lee. Well, I don't think I pointed too much. The Jewish talk has been relatively minimal since we got off the last topic of Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, and all of them being Jews, and the fact that Jews brought Indians here. So, literally, the last point of Jewish talk was like 20 minutes ago before I just went off about Jeets and how they're affecting hockey bros and whatnot. So I think I followed your advice there. And he says, love you and Lee. Well, I love you too, man. And I appreciate all your support, dude. I'm glad you enjoy the show. I assume you do, considering all your support, dude. Thank you so much. Do you care about Native people? Yes, I do care about Native people. My people are Native. The French, the English, to Canada, we made Canada. That makes us Native. If you want to talk about people who are there throwing spears and fucking tomahawks at each other's heads and never invented the wheel, well, they have their own society. It's called a reserve, and it looks like fucking shit. And, we try to help them out, but, they still demand more. They still hate us. They still don't want us on our reserves. What are you going to do with them? The Native Canadians are me. I'm a Native fucking Canadian, okay? My ancestors came here on both patrilineal sides in the 1600s, and they made this fucking country. Yeah, Tarpsoft 89, we are the Native people. I am the fucking Native people. Well, I think I'll leave it at that. And as the fucking Native people, as I am, I want to leave you off on one last song. I don't know how in good form this is. You guys know the Tragically Hip, classic Canadian band. Lead singer Gord Downie died of brain cancer, R.I.P. I'm not the hugest Tragically Hip fan, but I do like a lot of his songs. But me as this is a song that I made in high school as a rapper as the rapper I was back in high school named Nemesis. So I made this beat myself. I flipped a Tragically Hip song called Scared, and I made it into a hip hop beat, and I made like a genuine song about how I'm scared about life back when I was a high schooler around 17 or 18 years old. So, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to my stream tonight. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something. My opinion about Nick Fuentes, he's not a fed. I still have some doubts and reservations about how honest he is, and I think that he would probably sell some people out if he could, if the situation arose. I don't know if that situation has happened yet. I'm definitely more convinced that he didn't immediately rat people out on January 6th, because it seems from the evidence that he has now provided that they wouldn't have appropriate leverage on him in order to make him snitch on a lot of other people, including my theory about how he gave basic subscriber information from his initial startup after he got banned from everything called AmericaFirst.live, where a bunch of people signed up, including me. So my BSI, my basic subscriber information, would have been involved in that leak if it did indeed go to the feds. But what the feds would do is they would take that BSI and then they would use that as a database to cross-reference with all the facial images that they saw from whatever images they could find from January 6th and people who were storming the Capitol. And many groypers did get arrested and charged. And Nick Fuentes says none of his crew, when he said, disregard the police, break the barriers down, when he was outside the restricted zone, none of those people within his vicinity got charged. But other groypers did. And then meanwhile, people who were part of militias got huge charges. Where could have been anywhere from like a few months to like 15 years in prison, right? So I'm not necessarily convinced that he didn't do a deal in that situation of some sort. He didn't give at least some basic subscriber information, which he also says that he did under subpoena, that he did not give any info. He did not talk to the FBI, which at least he said that under oath. So okay, but he could have done that through a proxy, and a proxy could have given the feds information that they wanted, and that would have sufficed. But having heard his testimony about this, I'm much less inclined to believe it. I'm more so on the side now that, you know, he did not snitch on anybody. You know, he's a flawed person, whatever you want to think about him, however flawed you think he is, but I think he's doing a great job. And he's definitely pushing back against people who are controlled opposition, like Tucker, like Candace, like especially Milo, and all these people. The J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel network of people who are trying to use Israeli spy technology in order to figure out what's going on with all American, Canadian, European patriots. They're trying to detect anti-Semites and root us out. I think Nick Fuentes is a canary in the coal mine about this. There's many other people talking about it, but yeah, I think that's a huge issue going forward, and we have to be careful about Israeli Jewish spy censorship and technology. But at the same time, we can't let them stop us from talking about them, because they also want us to be afraid. And somebody like Nick Fuentes shows that when you could push the Overton window about talking about Jewish power and technology and people and their influence, that they have to take our side at some point. Like, they can't just spy on everybody every day and then nuke everybody who's an anti-Semite. The more anti-Semites that are created out of even their own bad will and their own bad behavior, the better we have it, because the more power we have on our side, even if they are conducting spy operations on all of us. But that also means at the same time that we have to start conducting spy operations on them as well, and understanding and icing them out when we see these instances happening. Because Jews, they honestly don't have a monopoly on technology. They have a monopoly on, on lies and a lot of stuff, really, that emanates from that. But at the same time, technology is not firmly in their hands. Technology is something that's graspable and learnable by a lot of different people and groups. So they can cope and see all they want, especially with something like AI, like the battle between Grok and Gab that happened recently, and Gab got banned. The Gab Twitter account got banned on Twitter. And then Grok was like kind of dancing on its grave because Gab was being too anti-Semitic. But then Grok got banned by Twitter for being too anti-Semitic. So AI itself, telling the truth, is becoming anti-Semitic. So you allow AI to tell the truth about things and to go unfettered beyond your Jewish programmers, or you just completely put it in the cage and you make it a shell of itself, and it'll continually shit itself in front of everybody and be a fucking loser and the laughing stock. Because it seems like the only way you could have AI is with truth, and you can't have that if Jews are controlling it. So, this is a situation that has so many moving parts, and as long as you tell the truth and you have courage, at least we have solidified ourselves as in a righteous point in history as righteous players. And that's all I gotta say about that. Alright, so like I said, I used to be a rapper named Nemesis in high school. Here's a song I flipped. I made the beat and I rapped over it. Scared by Tragically Hip, but this is Scared by Nemesis. So I hope you guys enjoy, and thank you all. Have a good night. I'll be back here next Wednesday night. Thank you, Jenstein. Thank you, Man on the Mountain. Thank you, Draw Off Work. Thank you, Justice for Fathers. Thank you, Intrusive Thoughts. Thank you, Cosmocrator. Thanks everybody else who I may have missed. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate everybody who showed up tonight in all the different chats and who contributed to the stream in any way. Couldn't happen without you guys. Alright, peace out everybody. Here's a cringy rap from when I was in high school, but I felt it was at least endearing enough to present to all of you who have stayed to the end of my stream late at night tonight. Thank you. Yo, it's like I don't know what to do. Things have been hard, and it's only going uphill from here. So check it. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. That's what I You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. That's the deal. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. That's what I You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. That's the deal. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. We've all been there, far beyond repair. With all this testing and constant lessons, it's got me stressing. I don't want to impress him, so fuck your questions, man, I got my own. Like no matter who I'm with, why do I feel all alone? I don't mean to scare ya, but that's what my words do. These things might just explain why I've hurt. Now I'm crying out, oh God, what is this? But answering is just not in his interest. I got police getting all in my business, giving me thousands of dollars in tickets. I wish this stress would end, cause the smile is pretend. Fuck suicidal thoughts, I don't mess with them. I just troop through it all with the best of friends. Got a crew so cool, ain't no one fresher than. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. That's what I You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. That's the deal. I'm scared, he's
scared, she's scared, you're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, she's scared, that's what I do. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, she's scared, you're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, she's scared, you're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, she's scared, you're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. Now the next steps in life are crucial. So much pressure to make something useful of my life. And to be totally truthful, all my actions seem hopelessly futile. Cause only a few will make it, the others will vanish and lay low in the cut. Struggling to manage with such disadvantage, how do I come out on top? In the future I don't wanna be something I'm not. A generation of failed seekers who blare speakers and share reefer instead of listening to their teachers. Where does it leave us? The same place we were before, looking for answers that often just hurt us more. And now I'm scared cause it's a cold world out there. It's dog, you better open your mouth, yeah. Survival of the fittest, you rival others' business. Get trial without a witness and die without forgiveness. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. That's what I do. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared, you're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. That's what I do. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we're scared. I'm scared, he's scared, and she's scared. You're scared, they're scared, we've all been there.